I count my wealth in relationships. And I can say mutually without like breakdown boohoo. I think Ras knows that the universe makes no mistakes about who and how people come into your life and why. And Ras being in my life has and the brilliance that is everything that she has revealed about the body politic in this current moment and the last two elections have been actually things that the world has been trying to catch up in her brilliance. And so I didn't mistake the moment that she both invited me to Brownsville um, and then introduced me to Q. And in that moment, it was some people could see that as transactional. I could only see it as transformational. I still recall that day. I still have the pictures from that day. I still understood what was happening in that moment in Brownsville. And you should know that my home in New York is on Fulton between Rockaway and Eastern Parkway. So I live a street over from Q in Brooklyn, the home that I maintain, but while here in Baltimore. Um, and so like the way in which the power of that introduction, and I really want to be talking to Nina and Chase in this moment, right? But the power of seeing your life reflected back in another human being is really what brought me to this moment in understanding that Q had a vision and was working in service of that vision and like working with the power that was working in his life, right? And manifesting it in ways that I'm not so sure that at the time, right, that he even understood what it was. And so because I do count my relationships in as my wealth, saw myself investing in this other young Black man who looked like me and had a vision and needed to work in service of that. And any modicum of success that I might have currently, where I'm a managing director of a firm that I have made a commitment because I'm not from Brownsville, though my kids went to Eagle Academy right around the corner. And then we moved to Baltimore. But I'm from a place in Miami that could be Brownsville, right? And I feel like too many people live in a Brownsville, right? Where like Ross said, other people get to decide what your story is, what is true for you, what your reality is. And so I was, and remained humbled to be in service of someone else's vision and the fidelity that Q has to that vision. I don't know if Q remembers this, but I invited Q to lunch one day at Brett Stye, and I which was and continues to be like a holy place for me in Brooklyn. And after having a very intense conversation for like an hour, my frat brother, who actually transitioned due to COVID this year, asked me like, well, who was that young man that you were talking to? And like why were you taking, and I said, well, that young man is going to be the person that will change Brooklyn from the inside. And I feel that very same way today. And so not only my personal commitment to what was then made in Brownsville, but now the Youth Design Center is both a real understanding of the profound work that needs to be done, but I'm also aligned with what is true and what I know to be working in the arc towards justice in terms of how people are able to support that vision and have been willing. Q and also Brittany knows that I have brought my staff into meetings and like structure this deal in such a way that Made in Brownsville is centered in this, and that there is a role for young people in that community to play an equitable position inside of that work. And we are working towards that. I'm happy to report that we're almost there. And so I am just being a good steward of the circle that is the relationship of the introduction, and paying it forward in this conversation. And so what looks like a human experience is really something much more powerful than what we think we are experiencing and building. And I stand in affirmation of the vision that you have and the work that you do, and everyone on this call.